these girls, these children are sending videos to him through the prison app. This guy's not reformed.
If my brother got arrested for this shit, I would be the first person out campaigning against him.
The script is called Downward Facing Doggy Style. I said, look, I don't know what you're doing, but something's up. This is weird, and I'm going to figure out what you're doing.
It says the jurisdiction is Nevada. It doesn't say anything about being able to operate in California.
It is a very intensive brainwashing program. I don't know what the fuck is happening at San Quentin.
Welcome, Tara. I'm so excited to be talking with you today.
Same.
Oh my gosh. So why don't you just kind of give people a little background on who Anand Jon is, why you're interested in this case, and we can go from there.
I was actually contacted by Anand Jon back in 2020. At the time, I didn't have a social media following like I do now. I was not working in Hollywood. I lived in a very small town in upstate New York. I was recovering from a very long illness and reinstated a Backstage account. At the time, I was doing, and still do, a lot of activism. I was contacted via Backstage with a message from a company who called themselves Awakened, and it was spelled AVVAKENED. And I spoke with a girl named Georgette. She said that she was interested in speaking to me about hiring me for some modeling work, acting work, for a brand that does a lot of things with activism. So I was invited to join a Zoom call. Zoom call consisted of a lot of very young girls, many of which were very, very underage with their parents. Though at the time I hadn't acted in a long time because I was out of commission for about a decade. It was unusual to me. The setup was unusual. The pitch was unusual. At the end of the call, she asked if anyone had any questions, and I asked, yeah, what job am I being considered for? What is the pay rate? When is the job? To which she said the investor would be contacting me to discuss more because some of the activism work is a bit controversial because it involves racial discrimination. And I said, well, that's fine. I already do a ton of activism work in that field. I ended up getting a phone call from a number I did not recognize. And when I answered, it was a recorded line saying, Anand Jon Alexander is calling from a prison. And this is a collect call. It's already been paid for. And I didn't catch the guy's name at the very beginning. It was kind of hard to hear. I spoke with him and he told me that he essentially wanted to hire me to recruit, in his words, young, sexy, beautiful white girls to say that he's innocent. The name he originally gave me, I couldn't find anything about him. And I said, I've looked you up. I don't see anything about you or your case. And he said he had to go by an alias because he's so high profile. I said, well, if you're so high profile, then why don't you just give me your name? And that's when he told me his real name. And I, of course, did my little Google search and saw that he was serving a 59-year-to-life sentence for raping multiple young women and children with the promise of the same thing he was promising me, which was acting work, modeling work, fly me out to Hollywood, give me $1.6 million to build my brand, which, again, at the time, I wasn't a social media person. I was not working in Hollywood. I was somebody who was chronically ill, who didn't care about anything but just trying to survive, right? I was very alarmed by this, and I decided to take a look at the Awakened Instagram page, which I'm happy to share some of that with you since most of it has been removed from the internet since. It was a lot of alarming pictures and videos of very young children wearing very little clothing. Some of the videos, they actually take off the clothing. overlaid with images of his naked body with
And this was
very,
on Instagram?
this was on Instagram. Um, it immediately sent up red flags to me. And I reached out to Georgette and I said, I am not interested. I don't know what this is, but I'm going to find out. You will be hearing from me again. And I told Anand the same thing. I said, look, I don't know what you're doing, but something's up. This is weird. And I'm going to figure out what you're doing. And that was in 2020. At the time, I was incredibly concerned because of all of these connections that he appeared to publicly have, such as, you know, with the Vatican, with the Pope, with these big celebrities, with these senators, these assembly people, the Dalai Lama, you know, all these people worldwide who seem to be advocating for his innocence and supporting his coalition to get him out of San Quentin prison, which I believe he was at a different facility at the time he contacted me. Which obviously made no sense to me, considering that he was seemingly doing the same exact thing that got him locked up in the first place, as far as how to connect with these young women and children in many cases.
Right, because his
I,
MO was kind of like he would find people online and reach out to them and
yes,
offer contracts or photo shoots or whatever it was, if they and try to get people to come in from out of town too was a big part of what he was doing. But now he's in
yes,
prison, so I can't get people to come to him, but he's
right.
still using those same methods.
He's still using the same methods. He did offer to fly me to California. Um, he uh I was scared to say anything because it was obvious to me something weird was going on, but I was also cautious because of all of the connections he appeared to have at the time. However, in 2020, all the way to 2022, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. It really bothered me. I did a lot of digging into this guy and into his network. And in 2022, I decided to make a video just to warn people like, hey, if you're an actor, if you're an aspiring model, if you're whoever, please be aware of this man and the many activism fronts and modeling agencies that he runs with the help of outsiders. He'll often contact you and say, send me a video of you dancing to a song that he wrote. And then it's like, well, now we need you to, he asked me to take off my clothes because uh, the modeling people needed to see my full body and stuff, which of course I was like, that sounds made up. And the video didn't get much traction. It seemed like they kind of weren't doing much with that Awakened brand after that. So I thought maybe they were trying something and they were like, oh, maybe we can't do this. And they gave up. And then in January of this year, I started getting flooded with messages from young women and children worldwide who were affiliated with an organization called the Bee Fly, which is how we got here. And I've spent the last half a year getting these girls safely out of this network that I believe to be coercive control, a bit of a cult, and get them, to speak with detectives and investigators, get them safely away from this. And now I am obviously working with, you, which is great. You're the first journalist who has wanted to talk to me. And working on a documentary series, being consulted by Cecilia Peck, who did the Nexium documentary and the Escaping Twin Flames documentary. She has incidentally, she's the only person that has all of the footage of his hearing because
Oh,
she was the only one allowed to record it for a different documentary she was working on at the time. She never used the footage because she couldn't find anything about this guy. But she is very graciously donating that footage to the series. So that kind of brings us up to today, where I've been trying to figure out who's actually involved in his network, who isn't, who is being used as a prop, who's being used as a pawn, how much of this is marketing, how much of this is real endorsements. So that's where we're at now.
yeah. And I just joined into this, like 2-3 days ago,
Yeah.
at this point. And I've been able to find a lot already. So place that I usually start in this type of a thing is with the background checks.
Mhm.
And because of all the work that you've already done on this, that was pretty easy. Especially given that like one of the people involved has a pretty common name. Um, Gustavo Gonzalez is a pretty
Yes,
common Hispanic name.
it is.
But knowing what his alias is, Lucky Patino, we were able to, I was able to pull that really easily, find the background stuff there, and then dig into the court system
Mhm.
filings and verify all of that. Because sometimes stuff that shows up in background checks is not connected to that actual person. So
Certainly.
always I go through like a couple different background checker sites and then dig in. So I'm following that trail. I'm also looking at the corporate filings. I was able to find the corporate filing for the bfly.co,
Okay. Yeah.
which they're according to their website, they are based out of California. So that's where I started. And
Mhm.
there's other organizations called the bfly or with bfly in their name, but it's not them.
Yes.
So again, going to the background checks for how does she pronounce her name? Is it Elena?
Eliana.
Eliana. Okay, for Eliana, um, she has a corporation registered to her, an LLC in Nevada. So I went to the
Yes.
Nevada Secretary of State website and found the articles of incorporation for the bfly.co LLC, but it says the jurisdiction is Nevada. It doesn't say anything about being able to operate in California, which is where she's
Mhm.
operating out of. So that's one avenue I'm going to definitely be looking into and kind of seeing, like, just from a legal standpoint,
Mhm.
what we can do to kind of raise awareness to the powers that be that this company is based in Nevada, but operating out of California without any documentation. Um,
Right. And I've been kind of saying to some of the survivors who have been frustrated with the lack of uh willingness for, people who are in agencies that do oversight and things like that to do anything about this. I'm like, at the end of the day, if anyone holds anyone accountable, it is the IRS. They want their tax money. So
exactly.
worst
So
case scenario, the IRS is going to get them.
right.
Period.
So that's
So that's good.
why going into the finances, like following the money, is always a good place to like start from the beginning. But this one too, because of the outreach via social media and stuff,
Hmm.
I started digging into the bfly.co's TikTok, which
Mm-hmm.
just in general for an organization that is meant to be like a girls empowerment thing that is like recruiting people for these activism campaigns, which are really like not activism at all. Uh,
Mm-mm.
that they have a very weird social media presence. Like their website, first of all, I reported to the Center for Exploited and Missing Children because
Good.
there's stuff that I do consider to be CSAM on there.
It
Um,
is. I've identified a lot of the young women on there, and in fact, a lot of some of these weird, poorly done, copy pasted pictures are stills from these dance uh strip teases that he these nasty girl videos, he calls them, that he requires these minors to send him to be considered for larger roles. He will take stills from those and use them in these different campaign images, which some of the people in those images are in fact children. So I appreciate you doing that, because they, at least at some of them at the time, were children. Some of them are currently still
I
children.
mean, yeah, just I was a middle school and high school teacher for 20 years, so I'm pretty good at like spotting someone's age. And there were definitely kids that were definitely kids. I'll just leave it at
100%.
that. So yeah, so anyway, I was like, I really want to find out more about this organization. And so like their like application on the bfly.co, it's really easy.
Hmm.
It doesn't have any kind of parental control on it. There's a little like
Nope.
disclaimer at the bottom that says we only accept people of legal age, but it doesn't say like legal age where. I mean, they
They
could, if they
only
wanted
added
to,
that.
they could say, oh, well, that's legal age in, somewhere that has like a super low legal age, right?
They
Because it
only
doesn't
just
say.
added that like in the last couple of months.
Well, and the other thing with with that application is that the checkbox that you have to check says that normally it says like you accept the terms of service and privacy policy. This one says or. It doesn't say and. So it's one
Yeah.
checkbox and it says you're accepting one of these. So they could change the other one and say,
Mhm,
well, you accepted the other one, so you're
mhm.
fine. And so I found a gal. Actually, I've reached out to a couple of people on TikTok that have been caught up in this network. One gal who just had an incident in June where she went out for, it was supposed to be like a week-long recording, and she's like, there was no such thing as a set. We literally like recorded everything outside, and they didn't give us any food.
Oh, when they were
Tried to,
locked them in the hotel room.
they tried to put all of the girls in one hotel room, like 12 girls and dogs and all kinds of stuff. And this
Yep.
particular girl, thank goodness she trusted her gut, because she was like, I'm not going to do that. She went and got herself her own hotel room, and she ended up leaving the whole thing early because she was just weirded out by it. She had to ask permission to go to the bathroom. I mean, weird stuff. So I think she had a really good gut to not stay in that room, because I wouldn't be surprised if there was a camera in that room that is,
Mhm.
recording
Yes,
footage of 10 girls changing clothes and,
100%.
chatting and all of that. Uh,
Hmm.
so
Nothing is what they portray it to be with these many coalitions, organizations that are all ultimately essentially the same thing being run by the same people. I'm sure, I mean, I have talked to like hundreds of girls worldwide, but there is at least like 20 or so that I talk to on a regular basis that I'm sure would be more than happy to speak with you. And share, their documentation and stuff like that. It's really alarming, and I I wanted to actually show you something that I think you might be interested in. It doesn't show you what's on the screen though.
no.
Darn. Okay. We can figure this out after, I suppose. I wanted to show you, um I've been working on an evidence map for a long time, for since the last 6 years. I'm happy to share a version of it with you that has survivor things redacted,
Hmm.
but it has tons of stuff that's been removed from the internet, and it shows all the connections between the people and all the photos and everything. Most of the stuff is nowhere on the internet anymore. Some of it's archived, but it has all the source links, so it might save you some time with
That'd
trying to
be amazing. And
yeah.
um, let me share really quick where I can, house obviously the redacted version of that, which is on anandjon.info.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's this website that I created. And it kind of is, right now, it's mostly just text. I'm going to be putting photos and things in here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, it has his, convictions, the timeline, including like when some of these organizations incorporated and where. Um,
Awesome.
and then I think kind of what's going to go in with what you're talking about here is like the network of all the
Yeah.
people and the organizations that are connected. Right now, I have Rajesh Jose as a under investigation, because I know that you have documentation where he is citing himself as the attorney for Anand Jon,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I haven't yet to find court filings where he is. However, the
I
other one
think
I need to put
my
on here is
understanding,
Mistler
Milner.
Milner. That's it. Yeah, Milner.
Yes, he has been suspended in the state of California without pay a number of times. The state bar has been, I have plenty of documentation of all the times he's been in trouble with the California State Bar. My understanding of Rajesh K. Jose, he goes by Raj, his position is that he is the attorney on retainer for International Justice Alliance, previously known as International Innovators, also known as American Justice Alliance, et cetera, et cetera. He seems to work as more so the attorney for these coalitions. And I am happy to send you emails that he has sent out to a number of girls, including some who are minors, after they have contacted the FBI, some of the ones who are out of the country after they've contacted Interpol. These emails, in my opinion, very clearly demonstrate witness intimidation. I find them to be very obviously that. I know some of the girls had concern, like, well, what connections do they have where they know I went to the FBI? From what I can see, because I'm talking to so many of these girls separately who don't know each other over the course of, many years, many locations, it seems as though since this has gotten, brought up, and whenever there's any hint to them that maybe someone's looking into them, they will, my understanding, it appears that they will have their representatives send out kind of blanket emails, copy and paste emails, saying there's an investigation, you're being investigated, your name got brought up, and blah, blah, blah. But it's like the same email, because there have been girls who have contacted me after the fact, only finding out about me because Eliana has reached out to them saying, hey, we're investigating this girl, me being this girl, and your name came up in the investigation. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And then they obviously find my page only because Eliana said something to them. But it seems as though they try to cover their bases by just, we don't know who's reporting what. Let's just blanket send something to everyone to cover all our bases. Like, hey, we know you talked to the FBI, hoping that one of the people they send it to is the correct person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, like cast a wide net and hope you catch
Correct.
something. Yeah,
They're like, it's fishing. They're just fishing.
exactly. Yeah, I know I'm really, yeah, I'd love to get as much as I can get, just to kind of piece all of this together and kind of
Yeah.
see, the more evidence we can put together, the better, because all of this is just can contribute to him not getting out on, whatever they try to, overturn or appeal or,
He's up for parole in 2027 because of San Quentin's rehabilitation program, where essentially everything that this Anand guy does, he just started a coalition from the prison that has been approved by the prison, approved by Rabbi Paul Scheffler, who also helps coordinate some of these events with the bee fly, these trips to the Star Farm, allegedly. Brings in celebrity trainers like Justin Gelbin into the prison and then sends them to help train the girls at the Star Farm. A lot of people within San Quentin seem to be assisting Anand, whether they know what he's doing or not. I'm not sure. But he starts these coalitions like the Racial Justice Activism Coalition, Project Eracism, all of these things. And anytime he does one of these activism fronts, and all of which, by the way, are meant to help people who have been wrongly accused and who have actually been the victim and survivor of true racial injustice, because that's how he positions himself, despite the fact that he's continuing to do these crimes. Anytime he does something like that, he gets points. You get enough points, you can get out early. So he got his college degree. He has nothing else to do in there, and it's free. So yeah, he gets the college degree. Well, he just took time off of his thing. I've sent letters, and I've encouraged all of the girls to send letters to the Board of Parole, because, I don't know. There is no way this guy can get out. The first thing he's going to do is rape people.
With this information that we're compiling, because that's when I start investigating, it's not just to like find out information, it's like to do something about it. So
correct.
If we can, get this information, get some actual like hard data showing, that these girls are, being taken and that their information is being used, their photos, their likeness, their things that they did not approve, that no parental notice was needed on any of this. So I think if we can get enough information that we could present to the Board of Parole, that's something
absolutely.
That, I don't know what the legal process is on that or how,
contacted them. I mean, honestly, the only person, and I do at this point trust this person. They haven't given me a reason not to. The only person that seemingly has taken me seriously in this whole thing is one of the wardens at San Quentin and a detective at CDCR, who has really, from what I can see, done a lot regarding investigating. But, you know, the thing about investigating something, especially if there are outside accomplices who are walking free, the last thing that happens is an arrest, right? And sometimes it is not always best to let someone know they're being investigated because they will either try to remove information or they will stop doing what they're doing. Luckily, in this case, according to the detective, whose information I'm happy to give you off record, he can verify a lot of this for you. And also, you know, he's great. He talks to all the girls. He's really, as far as I can see, is really working to make sure this guy doesn't get out on parole. Um, According to him, he's like, you know, these people really don't think they're under investigation, despite the fact that investigators and detective have shown up at the Star Farm up in, you know, the Bay Area, where they go and have all these girls at this weird farm. They're of the belief that, like, if detectives show up and they're like, can we look around? And they say, sure. And then they poke around. And they say, well, nothing to see here. Thanks for your time, guys. That means, you know, they're good.
Right.
Which, if you know anything about law and order, that is by far a way worse scenario than getting arrested on the spot. If the FBI comes in and says, oh, nothing to see here, we're good, like, red flag, like,
Yeah.
but, you know, I don't know. I do believe that Eliana and the other women, girls too, who are his main little accomplices and his little, I call it a cult because he operates in the same way, isolating people from their family and friends, demanding upon indoctrination that you give them access to your social media and your passwords to your email and your social medias. And, you know, you break up with your boyfriend, you break up with your partners. He is the only man you're allowed to speak to. It is a very intensive brainwashing program where you have to be on calls with him every morning at 8 a.m. You have to be on calls with him every evening at 6 p.m. If you don't show up, if you don't answer the phone, he will call you a million times. He will leave nasty voicemails to you on the recorded prison line, by the way. This guy has gotten away with this for so long that he's gotten really brazen. And whenever I've asked these girls, why didn't you come forward before? They all said, I was scared because of who he's connected to. And that's when I started to look into who he claims to be connected to. And what I found is, with the exception of a couple assembly people in the state of California, one senator in the state of California, and one music producer, everyone else seems to be a victim of theirs, in that they will pay a lot of money to go to these events. They will bombard people like Mike Tyson when he is walking from his trailer to set, and hire a person to come with them to snap a picture of, Sanjana, his sister, handing a picture of Anand to Mike Tyson or something, and he doesn't know what's going on, so he's looking at it, crop out the picture of all the security guards being like, yo, lady, what are you doing? And then put it on her Facebook, like, you know, the racial justice activist being supported by Mike Tyson. Look at him looking at this picture of my brother. He supports his innocence. Meanwhile, I find the real pictures on the internet, and I'm like, it is very clear that they are bombarding these people. It is very clear that you got a photo op with the Pope. Unfortunately for these people, I did not have any connections in Hollywood because at the time I wasn't working in that industry. Now I do. A lot of the people they claim to be connected to, I work with. I personally know. They do not advocate for this. They don't know who this man is. They're like, I don't know. People stop and take pictures with me at events all the time. Right. And unfortunately, too, for them, my boyfriend's direct relative is one of the cardinals at the Vatican. So, you know, it's like, because at first I was really like, why is the Vatican involved? This is really sketchy. They're not.
Right.
It was a
and she
carefully
just knows how to
constructed
work
photo op.
PR.
They know how to work PR, and then
I
they take
ran
out
across
these.
an interesting story, newspaper article about her from, I'm gonna say it was like 2013, where she was with a
Mm.
group in India and they were like filming something at the Taj Mahal, and they were looking at getting arrested for like, forget exactly what it was, but I'll send you that article.
Mm.
Um, it's something that you wouldn't find it through a Google search. I had to go through like newspapers.com and search her
Oh,
name
wow.
and found some, yeah. So, you know,
Yeah, please send that to me. I'm very
she's not
curious.
always making great decisions in where she's going and
No,
what she's
not at all.
doing.
And I
And
mean, she's not a doctor. Also, this university she claims to have gotten a, whatever, a certificate, a doctorate from does not even
honorary doctorate, right?
honorary doctorate doesn't. If you call the number, no one answers. They don't have a website. Like everything they claim, the guy Bart Fisher is a Nobel Prize winning or nominated. No, he's
Nominee or
not. I
whatever. Yeah.
found no evidence of that. I have found no evidence of any of these people having any sort of credibility, any sort of the accreditations they claim to have. They use these weird little photo ops to take out ads on digital ad space, like in Time magazine. It'll say, and I never realized it, but my boyfriend was like, well, read the fine print. It says paid promotional placement. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He's a music producer. He says musicians do this all the time. They'll go to AP magazine, they'll write up an article that has the AP logo at the top. It looks like it's written by AP about them. And then they just pay for their ad slot. And because it'll say like blah, blah, blah / AP magazine, oh my God, this is really by AP magazine. But if you read the rest of the HTML, paid promotion, they're ads.
Right. And they happen
They
to
don't,
just crop that part out on all of their sharing of
correct. But if
that.
you go to
Look,
the
we're in
links,
Time magazine. And even on one of them that they share, like the M in Time isn't even the right font. Like,
but you know what's crazy is it worked on me for a while too. If you watch my first video that I posted in 2022 about this, I was very scared. I was like, I'm not going to harm myself. I believed fully that these people had all these connections. But then it got to the point where I was like, especially after the Epstein files came out, I was like, if this guy had all the connections he said, why is he in prison? Why? Because no one is ever held accountable.
no.
Ever. So I'm like,
Especially when
there's
they
no
are
way.
like he was legitimately like connected in the fashion industry before like while he was doing all of this. Like
Correct.
he was on, what, Next Top Model or whatever. And so, he worked with Paris Hilton and Prince and like some
Yeah,
other people.
briefly.
So
More so he was at the same
the
events as
same,
them
like,
and,
exactly.
you
Which is
know,
another thing in like my digging into the Epstein files that I find a lot of people are kind of in that same way where they like insert themselves into a certain like circle just so that they can try to, claim that they're part of it, even though they're
correct.
really not. And like,
There is a file in the Epstein files. Somebody who was a survivor of Epstein, who actually was introduced to Epstein through Anand, allegedly. I only say allegedly because they are not comfortable sharing the documentation of that with me because they are scared. I understand because they were dealing with a much bigger beast, which is, Jeffrey Epstein. But I did personally get to review it in person, the hard copies. I will still say allegedly because I can't provide those documents, but I reviewed them. They looked very real and credible to me. And this person encouraged me to look at certain files in the Epstein files where there are videos of a man with a very young girl, and I immediately recognize this man to be Anand Jon Alexander. I can share that with you. You can form your own opinion. There have been some videos circulating on TikTok and stuff where people are like, who is this guy who shows up in the Epstein files? But
I think
because
I
this
know the video
Anand
you're
guy is,
talking about.
huh?
You can like see his eyes in it. Is
You can
that
see his eyes, his sideburn. There's a number of
uh-huh.
different videos, but you can see his eyes. You can see his sideburn. At one point, he's laughing. You can see his teeth really well. And his two front teeth and his bottom teeth are very slightly, you know what I mean? If you overlay a photo of
Mhm.
him, it is identical to his face. And I immediately recognized him. Now, could it be someone who is identical to him who just so happened to also hang out with the same people the exact same year? Maybe. But if I had to guess, I don't know. To me, it's more than likely him as opposed to someone else.
Right. Occam's razor, right?
Correct. And this, I think, my understanding is because he used to have connections to some of these people. here's what I've heard through the grapevine, again, this is all alleged, is that people in higher positions of power than him felt he was a liability, felt his ego was too big. He kept writing these weird manifestos. It is not enough for him to do what he's doing and get away with it. He also has to brag about it. My understanding is people were like, this guy is a huge liability, and we are not going to associate with him no more, and we are not going to bail him out if he gets in trouble, because he's going to get all of us in trouble. Hence the being in prison for as long as he has. Meanwhile, a lot of the people he used to associate with are walking free to this day, despite there being evidence and convictions and stuff like that. It's, that's my understanding. They've worked on intimidation, scare tactics, and this false network of important, powerful people advocating for his innocence. Meanwhile, he's continuing to do the exact same thing. I think the other reason they're able to do this is because there were minors involved in the trial. The transcripts are sealed because of that, and there was no public trial that was filmed. However, like I said, Cecilia Peck has the entire trial filmed on cinema cameras, which has all the survivor testimony. It has all of his testimony because he fired his defense attorneys and represented himself pro se. And a lot of the things they allege, like, for instance, like, they were saying he was, they were calling him a smelly Indian. And again, I originally was willing to even hear the guy out, because racial injustice is a really bad thing that truly does happen in this country all the time. And unfortunately, it seems like he has manipulated people like Obie Anthony to advocate for him, because he was accused of something he didn't do and then was exonerated based on DNA evidence. Like, this whole, they were calling him a smelly Indian. That is not what happened. What happened was a number of girls who were drugged by him said that they kind of came out of their twilight state. Again, these women did not know each other because they were awoken by pressure on their face and a bad smell because he had his ass on their nose, which is not a pleasant smelling area on most people, right? That's
right.
So, that is not the same as saying the guy smells bad.
Right. Or that when they called him an animal, that he took, like, he's saying that's because, it was a racist thing. And I'm like,
I haven't even
called
seen
Jeffrey Epstein an animal too, and
Correct.
everyone connected. They called Ghislaine Maxwell an animal. So,
it's like,
if the shoe fits.
Right. And I haven't yet seen evidence of that. I mean, I know the DA, there is some of the DA's transcript online. And honestly, I came to the same conclusions about the guy, that he gets off on the power of humiliating young girls. He, he wants a cult. That's what he wants. And this entire thing with his mom and his sister and all these people they've manipulated, and all these girls that they've groomed into this little cult that he can run from prison. The goals it's way less of a big picture than I thought. It's literally, they want this guy out of prison because his mom and his sister have a weird relationship with him, in my opinion. They want him out of prison. These girls who are his right-hand little Ghislaines running around, they have been promised this career, but that career can only come to fruition once he's out. So that's their motivation to get him out. He wants a cult when he gets out. And in the meantime, he is going to get the content he wants from little girls to keep himself occupied while he's in prison. It is that is the extent of this whole thing.
Right. It's not like a big, deep, diabolical plot. It's just,
it's really
people that are helping him accomplish this. And whether, wittingly or unwittingly, but it seems like it's pretty wittingly for most of them. And
I know some
people,
right? I assume have been duped. There are other people, I assume, just based on the line of work I'm in and some of the people I know personally and I've worked with personally, there are a few people, especially in the entertainment world, where I'm like, if I had to guess, it would be some kind of blackmail. Like, because if you think about it, he's kind of in a position of power. He's already locked up. He's already in prison. So it's like, hey, dude, I know what you did. You either publicly support me or I'm already in prison. You're not. But you can be if you don't support. I think some of it's blackmail. I really do. I think some of it's blackmail.
Well, and I think that's why it's so important that video that you shared the other day that shows all the different states and what laws, allow you to report somebody who has been coercing you to do
Yes.
illegal activities. Because I didn't know half of that. And the two states that she is operating out of are good to go on those, Nevada and California. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, if she wants to, she can do the right thing, but
She can. It doesn't seem like any of these girls in his little circle, the five girls that seem to be the main operators here, I don't know if they're brainwashed. I don't know if he just so happened to, in the thousands and thousands of girls he targets every year, maybe he found five coincidentally also bad people. It's entirely possible because these girls appear young, but from what I've found, especially Eliana, she's almost 30.
yeah, she's like 27, I think.
They're not kids. They
Is
look
there
like kids.
Madeline?
Madelinks or something is her fake
Yeah.
last name. Yes. She's also not as young as she presents herself to be.
Yeah, these are
Uh,
the connections I'm finding through like who follows who on TikTok and because some of these
one of
people
the
are
girls
like
is a mom with a
new
small
followers
child.
or something. I'm like, you guys are making this too easy, dude. Like, I watched every single season of Catfish. I know how to like follow a digital trail on social media. Like,
Well, I think, because when I spoke with Georgette, who used to be in the position Eliana's in, she's the one who tried to recruit me. And she has agreed to be in the documentary series. She has provided a very unique perspective on what's going on. And she's actually the one who kind of got me looking into maybe this isn't as big of a network as it looks like. Maybe these powerful people may not be involved. This may be a very carefully crafted marketing campaign. And if these people put the energy they're using into getting Anand out of prison into an actual marketing company, I mean, they could be the richest, most powerful people in the world because they're very good at that. That is probably the only thing they're
right. And that's kind of, like you were saying too, like if he had all these connections, you'd be connected by now, right? Like she's in they're filming a movie right now. This is what they were doing in that June thing that the other girl was talking about. And I think that like his sister is the producer on this one or whatever. And so Eliana has like financial and like fame reasons to try to stick around because they're giving her these bit parts. I think she has like, above the fold, credit on this particular, midnight, whatever. Like that's how they're keeping her hanging on. Her business operates out of, an address in Sacramento, which is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 600 square foot house. So I don't know that there's much like business happening in there when there's not space for an office. But I mean, my house is 950 square feet and it's tiny. So I can't even imagine. But yeah, so also the other thing I called the two different phone numbers that are listed on the privacy policy for the bfly.co. One of them is a California number, one of them is a New York number. Neither one of them actually answered. It was like a Google Voice number for the California one. Um, so I'm like, if I were a parent that were, interested in this production company or whatever they call themselves, branding or whatever, there's no way to actually like reach somebody.
no, and they're
Right
one of
aside.
the offices for the many renditions of International Justice Alliance, right? Uh, is this? It's on Wilshire Boulevard, which is right near where I live in Hollywood. I went there. It is a virtual office space. There's like 2,500 businesses that use that address. It's not uncommon,
Yeah.
but there are very few actual places that are registered. I did see that one of the registrations in Texas for one of the International Justice Alliance things was registered to Rajesh K. Jose, which I thought was interesting because he is um obviously an active attorney who is currently being investigated by the Texas State Bar because I was like, hey, just letting you know that here are some emails this attorney is sending to victims. Many of them are minors who have reported sexual abuse to authorities. And they're like, oh, this is bad. And I'm like, yeah, do something. Someone do something, please. Someone needs to do something because I'm gonna be really pissed if the thing that gets something done is the stupid documentary series coming out. But I mean, there is a rush to get it done and to get it out because it's like, if anything, public pressure gets put on the courts and stuff to not let this freaking guy out. Do you know what I'm saying? Because, like, this is insane that he's even eligible for parole. This whole tablets for prisoners contract that Gavin Newsom signed is absolutely diabolically outrageous. This guy gets points off his sentence for writing scripts and stuff like that. One of the scripts I read that was signed off on by the prison publishing company stars a quote 16-year-old sexy beautiful white girl, and the script is called Downward Facing Doggy Style. It is very, very, very sexually explicit content. I don't know what the fuck is happening at San Quentin. Truly, I don't know what the fuck they're doing at San Quentin, but like, it is crazy over there. And like, they just opened a podcast studio. And again, I'm all for prisoner reform. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
However, he's doing all the same crap and no one cares. Like, why does no one care? I told my mom last night, and I'm likely going to do this. I'm gonna file a lawsuit against, I guess, the state of California, because it'll probably be a class action with these girls, because it doesn't matter how many times I reach out to Securus Technologies, reach out to Gavin Newsom, reach out to all these people. They'll get back to me about other stuff. If I say, oh, I love the prison reform you're doing, will you talk to me? They'll get back to you. But if I'm like, hey, me again, here's another 100 girls that were just sexually, solicited for child pornography from these tablets that you guys are supposed to be keeping an eye on. Crickets. Nothing. So, yeah, I'm going to sue him. I don't know what else to do.
Right? I mean, so yeah, let's figure out how to do that. And what, I know that Gloria Allred represented one of the victims.
Yes.
So, maybe she's
Cecilia
willing to get back involved.
Last week, introduced us. I haven't heard back from her yet, but I think she sent it on Friday, maybe. So, we'll see if she gets back to me. She knows Cecilia, of course. Cecilia interviewed her for her documentary that she was working on in 2014. So we'll see if she gets back. I mean, I'm sure there are a number of people who would be willing to put their 2 cents in. I just, when I talked to the detective at San Quentin, I was kind of rude to him because I had called him about this a while ago, and then I got CC'd on an email accidentally from them saying they were doing filming again. And I was like, look, I'm calling to let you know I'm contacting the news media, I'm contacting the FBI. Because I don't know why you're not taking away the freaking tablet. And he's like, then he explained everything to me and gave me a lot of information that I feel like he wouldn't have given me unless he was on the good side, if that makes sense. And he said that they have almost little to no oversight of these new tablets through this new contract because it is state property. And so they can't really look at the tablets. They can't do the oversight. Only Securus Technology.
It just seems like their history and whatnot should be public record.
I'm saying, and I have tons of screen recordings and also recordings of girls' phones, because he tells them to download the prison app, the prison communication app, where these girls, these children, are sending videos to him through the prison app that are sexually explicit, and him being like, your body's looking great, blah, 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 cut down on the carbs, get skinnier, this, that, and the third, being ruthless to them, but still demanding more content from them. These are being sent to the prison app. Little girls who are stripping naked for this man. And hello, I literally cannot understand what the hell is going on and why no one's doing anything. It's it actually makes me so sick to my stomach. I'm constantly pissed.
I mean, it seems like schools have better, firewalls and stuff than the prisons do.
It's ridiculous. It's what are we actually doing? Because now it seems like, especially at San Quentin, whatever they're doing over there, it's like, hey, we all have to pay for college. We all have to pay for healthcare. We all have to pay, if we want to get in film production, we want a film festival, we want a podcast, we have to pay for all that. But I guess you can go rape a child and then you can get free college, free education, free healthcare. And I sound like one of these fucking conservatives saying this shit. And I promise you I'm not. I fucking hate every politician at this point. But I'm like, in this particular case, these are not I believe in prisoner reform. Absolutely. Some people can change. Some people need to be given a different chance because their circumstances they were brought up in were fucked up. This particular guy is not applicable. Like, at all. This guy is just doing the same thing he was doing. And the first thing he's going to do when he gets out of prison is rape someone. I guarantee you, the first thing he's going to do, the first hour he's out. He even says to these little girls, I've seen messages through the prison app, I'm going to use your body violently and aggressively, and there is nothing you can do about it when I get out of here. 2 children. And no one cares. I send it to these freaking senators that are repping him and being like, oh, I'm going to pay for this and that and the third. They don't care. Why don't they care? There's only a few reasons I can think of why someone wouldn't care about that. And again, that's not alleged. I can send you stuff. Like, this is stuff I have seen with my own 2 eyes, which is why I'm not saying alleged. Like, this is really happening and it's horrible. It's sick.
It is. And, I guess the one saving grace on this particular one, like you said, is that even though on paper it looks like he's got this big network, I think we kind of have it nailed down. But he's just one prisoner in this system.
I know.
And how many other pedophiles that are in there are doing the same thing and reaching out and getting, if they're not having, obviously they're not getting the physical contact, but they're getting that, emotional connection. They're building that, they're doing that grooming, they're doing all the things so that when they get out, everything's lined up and ready for them to go.
It's sick. It's disgusting. And at first I was kind of the belief that maybe his mom and his sister, nobody wants to believe their direct relative who they're close to is capable of something like this.
Dude, if my brother got arrested for this shit, I would be the first person out campaigning against him. You know what I mean? Not for him.
But some people live in a state of denial, and I kind of understand that. But after talking to a survivor who got him convicted in the first place, according to her, which has been in alignment with the other people and children who I've recently talked to, she coordinates a lot of this stuff. And it seems as though, for whatever reason, her and her mom always have in some capacity. And so much so, there are texts in the prison app saying, send the videos to my mom, send them to my sister, and then she'll review them. And if they're good, she'll give them to me or send them to me. So they're, according to him, reviewing this content, seeing if it's something that he's going to like. And then we'll vet it and be like, here, Anand, here's some nice child porn for you. This girl you're not going to like because she's too XYZ. And I don't know what he's going to do, how he's going to defend himself when it comes out that a lot of these girls are not white girls. Because his whole thing was like, isn't it convenient that they were all white? First of all, no, because white women are listened to more than black women or brown women or really anyone else on the planet. So no, that doesn't surprise me at all. Second of all, though, a lot of these underage girls are black or Indian or Asian or indigenous or not white. So, like, I don't know how he's going to claim this is a racial injustice at that point. Like, also his accomplices, the majority of the women in his little cult are also white. What are they going to say? This is a racial injustice against me. You're a white lady.
Right? Yeah.
I try to tell it to these women and they don't get it. Like, they're so... I'm really trying to, in some way, I still feel compelled to help them. And I probably shouldn't. The detective kind of told me, like, I'm projecting. He's like, they might not be good people, Tara. And I'm like, but what if they're being groomed or like whatever, or manipulate? I just feel like no girl or young woman in their right mind would be doing this.
Right.
Unless they're being hurt or something. Like, I can't wrap my head around. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. And I want to help them if I can, but they don't want my help.
I mean, at the very least, we can say that we did everything we could to try.
They're going to go to prison for, like, they don't understand. I don't think they see it as what it is, but like they are helping to create and disseminate child pornography. I don't think they're like viewing it at that way, but that is what is happening. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, how can you not be viewing it that way when you have a whole campaign called Be the Gift, you know?
Disgusting.
That was the
When I
one that
saw
I
that,
literally just like it was just like stuck, like not being able to breathe for like a good 30 seconds and I was like, "Fuck this motherfucker." I'm anyone who's connected with this bfly.co, like all of
the
this
girl
needs to
empowerment
stop.
movement, safety tips from Anand Jon. When I saw that, I started dry heaving.
How to
I am
be safe in
so
the
sick.
modeling industry from Anand Jon. Like,
The way you framed it in your video was so good because I think first of all, I have been screaming into the void for 6 years about this. So at this point, I am so pissed off and tired of trying to tell the same story to people in government agencies, oversight, whoever, Interpol, anyone who will listen to me. That like at this point, I'm just so irritated that I don't articulate myself as well as I normally do. But the way you were able to, like, in 3 minutes, just be like, this is what this guy did. Here's what he's doing now. And this is why this is so sick was like, I was like, thank you, because I'm so frustrated now that people are like, I can tell something's going on, but you seem way too irritated to like even talk about it. And it's true. I am. I'm so like I've been doing this for 6 years, and because I was scared for most of that 6 years, I just kept this shit to myself. I didn't talk about it. I've been collecting this information for years and years and years and talked to nobody about it. So now it's just like it's like this guy
I
can't
think,
get out.
you know, people are ready to listen now because of the Epstein files and
Yeah,
knowing like what was going on right under everyone's noses for so long
I
that now
know.
people are like, okay, here we have a chance to actually stop something that's happening right now.
But
Um,
that's the thing. Who is going to stop?
I mean, it's us, right? Like, I think that's what
Well,
we
I mean,
found is
who's going
like,
to be able to actually stop him from getting out is my question. Like the oversight, the parole board. I don't know. Are they? What if they don't? I don't know. I don't know how he's able to do this now. So I'm just not very confident that like they're gonna care.
right.
No
Well,
one cares.
we'll document. We will do everything that we can. But I think you're on the right track of having some sort of like a class action lawsuit.
The only thing I
Um,
could think of. That's the only way to get anything done is to sue people.
I mean, it would be really nice to be able to wrap up your documentary with and he was denied parole. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm hoping for. I've left the last episode in the pitch deck open because, like, I've got people who work at Netflix on my team. I got people that work at FX on my team. They own Hulu. So like I've already got people on the team who already work with these bigger networks. I can't foresee any universe where a big network wouldn't want to produce this. And I think just normally I would do it myself, but I think the reach, also the legal department that they have, is much more suited for something like this because I don't, I'm not trained in ethics. A child who's somebody who just maybe turned 18 now or is a young adult who's like, I don't care if you put this stuff in the documentary and my mom is signing off on it. I'm 35. I don't know how are you going to feel at 35? I can't make that call, right? I need somebody with a big team that has been trained on all this to assist because I don't know what the right answer is because I also don't want to silence them and be like, well, no, because you might not feel comfortable with that when you're 35, but then I'm taking their voice away. So like, I can't, I need big, I need bigger teams to do
Right.
that work.
Yeah. I mean, and especially when you know that, you know, he's got his legal team set up and ready to roll and
Yep.
not even ready to roll. They're already out there like sending stuff out to people. So
You know what's
I
funny
think it's
though is they
smart to
send
go
all
that
these
way.
threatening emails, cease and desists, and all that. And I'm out here not even saying allegedly. And I make sure to say, like, oh, and this, by the way, is not alleged because this is what's actually happening. I call these people out directly by name. I have never gotten a cease and desist. I've never had a phone call. I have never gotten an email. I have never gotten anything. And I'm always like, hey guys, you're sending more threatening emails to little kids. Send me one. Please send me a cease and desist.
Right.
Please. Please sue me for defamation and slander and libel. Please.
Let's open up that discovery.
They aren't. And I think that's really telling because, I'm curious to see if Adam Schiff is going to get back to you. I have a feeling probably not. He never got back to me, but I'm just repeatedly posting on his social medias about it because at first I thought he was another one. They're just using photo ops. He's involved too often. And he's anything with this, like collaborating with Vanguard News.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Davis Vanguard.
Nope. That entire publication is Anand. And I think Anand writes a lot of the stuff because a lot of the articles have the same kind of like writing style that
Cadence
Anand
and
has.
stuff, yeah.
Which is like a very specific kind of stream of consciousness way of writing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. This is that Greenwald guy that runs that.
David Greenwald.
Yeah.
I don't know what his problem is.
I don't know. I mean, like, and again, this is where, Anand Jon's team is kind of, playing their hand, right? Where they get involved in these organizations that, or with people who really were unjustly convicted. And what it ends up doing is, it muddies the waters for those people.
Mm-hmm.
And what's wild too is that, like, in some of the stuff that I read, it's not like he's really denying that he did this stuff. He's just saying
never denied
that,
it.
like, during the trial there was this racial stuff. He said, I was a playboy, I had a wild lifestyle, he uses all these terms that, like, in his little, brain probably didn't see it as doing something wrong. You know what I mean? I don't believe that, but, like, that's what he tells himself. That's the story he tells himself. They were just, I was just a playboy. It was just, we were all trying to, I think he said something like, we're all trying to get companionship or some bullshit like that. I'm like, ew, no.
I mean, he said at his hearing verbatim, because I watched the clip so many times, because it's, again, Cecilia sent it to me. He was like, there's a video of me having sex with the alleged rape victim. The alleged rape victim in question, to my understanding, is 14. And he's like, if I didn't do my due diligence, if I didn't check her ID well enough, fine, I'll accept that. But rape, that's preposterous. That's crazy. You should just give me the death penalty if that's rape. And it's like, so he doesn't, that's the thing, he doesn't deny it. And I think it is so disgusting that he is using people like O.B. Anthony, who are true exonerees, who spent most of their life in prison for violent crimes they did not commit and were proven to not commit based on DNA evidence. He is using them as a prop.
Exactly.
Which to me is racist as hell, because it's like, okay, that's great. And, in my perspective, because a few people have been like, well, why would O.B. Anthony be okay with this? I can tell you exactly why. Same reason when somebody comes to me and they said, I've been discriminated against for my disability. I have never once fact-checked or asked for evidence or proof of that, because that has happened to me so many times, especially when I was very visibly disabled. Now I am not visibly disabled, but there was a time, for a long time, that I was, and I was constantly having to deal with a lot of issues that I don't have to deal with anymore because of that. I would never even, that not happening to someone would never cross my mind, right? And because I can't imagine O.B. Anthony would be like, well, I don't know about that. It's like, of course he's just going to be like, of course that happened to you.
Right. Yeah. And I'm going to champion you for you. And yeah.
And it's like, I wouldn't check. And I will say, Sanjana and his mom have done a really good job with the help of, like, VJ sued us because they've got a lot of money and stuff like that to get a lot of this crap wiped off the internet.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have those other search things that I do that, like, I'm able to find that article about her, potentially getting arrested in India for basically, like, desecrating sacred ground kind of thing.
Please send that to me. I need that so badly, because these people, and, like, it drives me crazy that they're like, he's innocent and he's doing it and they're helping him do it. Because at first I was like, maybe they don't know. I considered reaching out to Sanjana, and not that she would listen to me, but I was like, man, maybe if she knew what was going on. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, she's actually very much actively doing this all the while. literally crying and saying on international news channels that she is going to starve herself and go on a hunger strike to death until her brother is released from prison. If you want him released from prison, maybe stop doing this.
Right? Yeah.
They
And
really
dude,
don't think he's doing anything wrong. They know what he's doing, but they don't think it's wrong, is what I'm gathering. They think it's fine.
and I got some really weird vibes from I can't remember if it was her or the mom, who was on the like video with Pooh Bear, where she's like interviewing, Eliana's interviewing Pooh Bear, um, and she's just like sitting down there. So it felt very like brothel matron
Yes,
vibes, you
that
know?
is a good way to put it. I've talked to a number of the girls who have done photo shoots at like the Marwa state and stuff. And, obviously Sanjana is there a lot of the time. She's on these Zoom calls where they do this Ayurvedic lymphatic drainage, yoga, all this stuff, whatever. And all of the girls indicated to me that she was very intimidating to them. Like she was never, at the beginning, she's not as warm and cuddly as, let's say, Eliana is. Eliana's like a really warm, welcoming, cool big sister. If you start to question what Anand is doing or what she's doing, she will turn on you and get cold. But it seems like Sanjana is always kind of like you said, like this overseeing entity that is very, in my opinion, jealous of these girls.
Well,
And
yeah.
is not very nice. Often, the number of girls who have catastrophic eating disorders now who have been hospitalized because this adult woman is saying they need to lose a few pounds when they are like 14, is really sad. Considering these are children who obviously don't need to lose weight and they are not even overweight at all. They're skinny. They're kids. They're
Yeah.
skinny little kids.
Well, and now they have this, it's as far as I can tell, this is like an AI persona that they've created, this gems.1. Have you seen this?
It's the rebrand of the bee fly because too many people are talking shit about the bee fly.
Right. So, but they
Yes.
have like this, I don't know. I think it's like some AI girl, like high school kind of age girl with like a short skirt that does all these videos. Anyway, I'm trying to, that's one of
Wait,
the,
what?
yeah, I don't know. I'll send you what I found on it. It's through TikTok. It was like stuff that I found on there. Um,
Oh.
yeah. So I'm just, digging into all the different avenues that I find, and
I'm just glad you're covering this. You're the only person who has even given a chance to look into it, which is crazy to me because I've been screaming into the void for so long. And I also appreciate because you didn't even reach out to me directly initially because you were like, I didn't want to overstep any boundaries or anything, which I super appreciate. But I don't know. Thank you for caring.
well, I just, for me, it's as a survivor of, sexual assault myself on a few different occasions, starting from
Mm-hmm.
age 4, the first
Mm-hmm.
one, and then 14
Mm-hmm.
and then 18. I identify with these girls at these different phases in
Me
their
too.
lives and going through what they're going through. I also work, I'm an associate director of the Kintsugi Foundation, which is started by Anushka DeGiorgio, one of the Epstein and Maxwell
Mm-hmm.
survivors.
Mm-hmm.
So I do this in my, for my real job too. And so I just, I have that insane sense of justice, ADHD,
Same. Yeah.
where if I see something like this happening and nobody's doing anything about it, I feel like I have to step in. If no one else is going to do it, then fucking I'll do it. You know,
Exactly. And, I think a big thing, I identify with these girls too, because obviously the whole reason I got involved is because they targeted me and had I not been through the things I've been through earlier in my life, I would have very much gone with it. You know, I think the most damaging part of it is the self-esteem, the how much it negatively impacts your self-esteem because a lot of these girls are just like, I can't believe I was so stupid. I'm like, first of all, people have been using this formula. Everyone from like Keith Raniere, the freaking Heaven's Gate guy, Manson, they all use the same exact formula for a reason because it works even on highly intelligent people. It's a tried and true method, which is why they all do it. And they just there's like a self-esteem where they feel vulnerable and like I should have known better, which ultimately leads to being oftentimes victimized even more. And I think it's been cool because in talking to a lot of these girls, there's one girl who's so funny. I guess the attorney sent her, and she is like, she just turned 18 or something. The attorney sent her like one of those threatening emails, and he was like, preserve all, blah, blah, blah. And she replied KYS. And he was like, can you please explain what that means? And she goes, kill yourself. And I'm like, oh my, like these girls are just getting so like, just like, oh, screw these people. Because I'm like, guys, they're losers. Like, they're
Dude,
losers. So much so that like people,
attorneys
that's
have
why no one
nothing
knows
over
about him.
teenage girls. Attorneys have nothing over teenage girls when it comes to firing shots. You know what I mean?
I mean, even this one girl reached out to, I think it was the Madeline girl, and was like, yo, stop. This is nuts. You know what he's doing. And she was like, well, I think when he gets out. And she was like, girl, he ain't getting out. He's being investigated, and so are you. And she's like, also, are you really that stupid to think of the post Me Too movement and after the Epstein files and stuff that like you being associated with this guy, if he gets out, isn't going to be anything other than an immediate cancellation?
Right.
And I was like, bravo, perfectly said.
Right? Yeah. Let's ask, especially the women in Epstein's orbit, how things are going for them. Leslie Groff, Susan Hamlin.
Not good.
Yeah. How they doing? Who's the only person connected to the entire Epstein thing that's in prison? A woman.
Yup. And that's how they do it a lot of the times, and it's really sad. And I mean, people will be held accountable. I wish it would happen faster, but I don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes because the detective also has encouraged me to continue talking about this, which also lets me know he's on my side because he's like, we're not going to be able to hold everyone accountable, and this will take years. So keep warning people because people are actively getting hurt. But like, he also knows because he has access to my Dropbox file that like anytime I talk to him, he knows I record it. He knows I put it in my like files for like my documentary and stuff. So I think he's a little bit more careful because he doesn't want to tell me too much about where they're at because I told him straight up, I'm like, no offense. If you tell me not to talk about this, I'm probably still going to talk about it because at this point, people have told me they're helping and I find out that they're actually not helping at all. So I can't just be quiet and wait around for something to happen.
No, that's how these things continue.
Exactly.
Well, I'm sure someone else will say something, or I'm sure someone's looking into this, or
I wonder the foundation that you work with, I wonder if they have any ideas about like who can we talk to make sure A, he does not get out, and B, how do we get, I mean, I guess the focal point right now is just this one guy, but like, can we at least get the freaking tablet taken away? Holy crap, guys.
Or have some sort of like, I don't know, like a certain like tier of offender that doesn't get access to that, right? Because
or if they're actively committing criminal activity while incarcerated, maybe make sure they're not up for parole, or maybe take away their little tablet. And from what my mom read, the main purpose of these tablets is to placate them because they're bored.
Right. It's so like giving a tablet to a toddler.
Literally exactly what it is. And they're like, well, fighting has gone down. Great. However, let them beat the crap out of each other in there because now they're hurting people who aren't in there. And again, I don't think everyone needs to be in prison. It's a for-profit prison system in the United States. I don't agree with it at all. I think the prison system does need to be revamped. However, there are some people who cannot be rehabilitated. Well, and those people are people who continue to do it, like Anand.
Well, and that's something that statistically and scientifically they have shown that people that prey upon children, that doesn't change. Like that behavior doesn't change throughout your life. Like if someone like him preys on 14-year-olds when he's 30, he's going to do it when he's 40, when he's 50, when he's 60, and the age of that girl is not going to change. you know?
Right. And it's also a lot about the like, he gets off on the humiliation of it. He gets off on promising these girls things. And then when they talk back or say, I don't want to do that, he is incredibly abusive to them.
Right.
And then, he gets off on the fact that he can humiliate them into doing something and then make fun of them for it later.
Which again is like
It's sick.
textbook Epstein too. Like, the coercion that was in, oh, you're just being a silly girl and you're clearly not, not mature enough for this world and blah blah blah, and all this just psychological manipulation that goes into it is just like you said, and that's the kind of stuff that it breaks down the psyche, it breaks down the
Mhm.
soul. um After I was, someone tried to abuse me in a wave pool in Texas at a public pool when I was 14. And I was able to like get my elbow back and elbow him in the nose to get away. But he'd already like slid aside my bottoms and, was trying to like get in there.
Oh, shit.
Um, and after that, like, I would never wear anything this revealing. I wore big bulky sweatshirts. For the rest of my life, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like right now, like I'm like, oh, and it changed who I am as a person and like how I express myself
Mhm.
um and
Same. That's why I make such an effort to like, I tell my mom, I told her today, I was like, I'm in my slut era. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm no longer willing to like let these losers dictate how I feel about myself because this guy in particular, Anand, the reason like it's not bigger news also is because the guy's a fucking loser. No one knew who he was because he's not famous. He doesn't work in the industry. He's a fucking nobody. He always has been. He always will be a nobody. The biggest amount of fame he's going to get is this documentary series. And I almost feel a little bad putting it out because he will get a little bit of attention for it, but like crap, dude. He's a loser. He's a loser and he's nobody and he's just a little tiny dumb boy.
yeah, which is why he has to do this type of thing to make up for his loserness. He can't get a girl in the old fashioned, like legitimate, respectable way. So he has to take one
And
or
his sister is older than him
14.
too, which also is like, I don't know. Something weird is going on with those two. I'm just saying. Some of the pictures I found, like old family Polaroids and stuff. I don't have any siblings, but I showed it to my boyfriend who's got sisters. I was like, "Would you pose like this with your sister?" And he was like, probably not." But like, and then I showed him a few others, and he's like, "Oh, that's really. Are they kissing?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, no, that's nope." Because I'm like, "Okay, I didn't think so, but I don't have any siblings." So.
I have a brother. We're not close. We've never been close. So obviously we wouldn't be posing and things like that. Dude, I dated this guy whose sister would come like sit on his lap, put her arm around
Yes,
him, just
yes,
all like,
man.
and then
That.
his mom, if mom was there too, they were both just like clinging on him in a
That's
way
how
that
it
like
is with this freaking
my
guy.
cousin was like, "What is going on? This is very uncomfortable." And so like when you showed me some of those pictures, I was like, "Oh, that looks really familiar."
I had
Ugh.
a feeling. I had no evidence. I've been saying for a while that I think they have a weird relationship. But then I found some of the family photos and I was like, that's weird. That is weird. I don't care what part of the world you have grown up in. I don't care what part of what culture you are in. That is weird in every facet of society. Some of these pictures that I haven't even released yet, in no culture are they normal for a brother sister dynamic. I'll say
Very,
that.
very Game of Thrones of them.
Yeah, it's icky. I mean, I hope his sister and mom know they're going to prison. Also, like it's not just the US, there's girls all over the world. So, the law enforcement is not just here. Yes, what? Hold on. Sorry, my mom was giving me something. Elderly release law. Oh, yeah, my mom found this last night. Is this a new she's my co-investigator on this. Is this a new thing, Mom?
It's been in place for a couple of years.
Okay, there's something you might want to look into called the elderly release law in California.
Compassionate if you are over 50 and you've done 20 consecutive years. Qualifies you just to get parole.
Mhm.
Just qualifies you for release, no matter what your sentence may be.
Mhm.
Only exception is killing.
So if you're 50 and you've served 20 years, then you're
Mhm.
eligible for parole, regardless.
Regardless. So it sounds like what we need to do is we have to get Anand to try to kill a police officer. I'm just kidding. That's the only solution, I guess.
Yeah. I like, dude. All right. Well, I mean, it's like these kinds of things are really good to know about because this is the type of like, legal advocacy that we can start working on too on a whole other front of like, getting these types of laws overturned, right? Like,
yeah, like some of
there's a
them.
guy in Ventura County
Mhm.
who his daughter was 18. She was living in North Carolina. She moved to Moore Park because he said he could live with her
Okay.
or that she could live with him and go to Moore Park College. He would pay for her to go. And 2 days after she showed up, he got her drunk and raped her for 4 hours to the point where her uncle had to carry her into the emergency room and she was bleeding from both sides of her gown.
Oh,
Died by suicide 6 months later. Her father got 1 year. 1 year. And he doesn't even have to register as a sex offender for his whole life.
how is that possible?
And
It
they
doesn't
couldn't
make
even charge him with rape because she wasn't around to testify that it was rape and that it wasn't consensual.
Oh
Even
my
though she had
God,
a
it's
rape
her
kit done the
dad.
next day.
It's her dad. Of course it's not. What do you
And
mean?
she died by suicide. Do you think that was consensual? Michaela Renee Settles is her name.
I
And
never even heard of that case. That's horrendous.
nobody
Was that
did.
recent?
Yeah, it happened in July of 2025 and she died in December of 2025. And he just was just sentenced. He didn't show up for his first sentence because we got hundreds of people to show up and protest. And so he didn't show up. And so they allowed him to come back another day.
He lives in Moore Park, right? These people need to at least be scared. They should feel safer in prison because they should not feel safe walking the streets when they do shit like that. Like that, I will put signs up all over this man's house. I won't hurt him, but I will literally buy a billboard and put it right over his fucking house and be like, yo, this guy did this. That's disgusting. What the hell is wrong with him?
Yeah.
Please send me that whole story and his information because I would love nothing more than to talk shit about this guy because
I
people
will.
I live there. I didn't know about this. I never heard of this.
I know. His Michaela's cousin really kind of got it viral on TikTok.
Okay.
I heard about it from Dr. Leslie Dobson, who handled, highlights a lot of these types of cases. And when I was like, because I was living in Ojai at the time when I heard about it, and I was like, well, damn, this is my backyard. So let me get on this and organize the protest. And, we got a lot of people to come and show up, and he didn't show up. But yeah, right around the same time, there was another gal in, I want to say it was like South Carolina, who, an 18-year-old girl who found out that her 3-year-old cousin had been being abused by this dude. And so she went and dealt with it herself. She found him at like 1 a.m, shot and killed him. So I made a video about how to donate to her commissary.
I'm sure she's serving time, huh?
She sure is, of course. But would he have been had he gone through the system and actually been held accountable for what he did? He probably would have gotten less time than she's getting. Well, obviously murder, but like,
Well, yeah.
but her case is still, she hasn't been, it hasn't gone in front of a jury yet. So,
Well, I hope the jury says not guilty. I mean, I'd say not guilty.
yep. I mean, it seems like a justifiable homicide to me.
I agree.
Why?
I agree. I don't think she did anything wrong because if the state's not going to help, if we're not following the law, we're not following the rules. Well, I guess we're not following the rules. I don't know what to tell you. Like, what are we doing? What is going on? And Gavin Newsom is just like, there was a time where I liked Gavin Newsom. That time, I mean, I've only lived in California for 2 years, so I was like, he's kind of funny. His
I do like how he trolls Trump. He's definitely
that was like really my only information at all about him because I had like just moved there, so I didn't know really anything about and still don't, honestly. But I'm just like, bro, what are we actually doing with this prison reform stuff. Because, like, yeah, rehabilitation is great, but, like, dude, you can't just, this is not the way to do it, dude. This is incorrect.
Well, and I feel like also just, the times have changed when the laws haven't. So, like, there need to be new laws on the books when it comes to, like, allowing inmates who have committed crimes online to be able to get online.
I would love it if you would be comfortable reaching out to Securus Technologies because, again, I'm just a girl on TikTok. I have zero journalistic credibility. Also, I'm a maniac online and everyone knows that. So, like, they may be more willing. I just want to know why their they have a whole thing that's run from, they have an office on Wilshire that is specifically for Securus Technologies. They have all these algorithms and stuff that are supposed to detect any sort of child sex trafficking, anything like that through these apps. And this guy is not using coded language. Okay. Like, what I would love for you to ask them, like, so is is it broken? What's going, hello? Because the freaking prison isn't allowed to do oversight no more. You're the only ones who can. And according to you, you have algorithms that pick this up. So you either need to get a new programmer or you're somehow complicit. Those are the only two things I can think about, honestly, because I don't understand how is it not flagging this stuff? Because I'm telling you right now, he's not being sneaky.
Right.
These videos are coming through the stupid Securus tab.
I mean, how are they even allowed to get, like, video files at all? Like, it doesn't seem like...
I don't know. I also don't know how he's allowed to video call these girls. Those aren't monitored clearly because he's exposing himself. I don't know. I don't understand it. So Securus, they won't talk to me, of course, but maybe they'll talk to you.
Well, I will definitely reach out to them. You know, I haven't had great luck in hearing back from a lot of people, but that also says something to me too. Like,
I know.
I reached out to Adam Schiff's office about, being listed on this as a collaborator on this website that I reported for CSAM. Seems like if I were a senator who was, going to eventually be up for reelection, that I would probably want to get my name off of a site that has just been reported for CSAM.
That's the thing too. That's what I don't understand is, like, if, let's say I was, like, complicit, let's say I was, like, one of the main people running this ship, right? If I got one email like that, I would probably just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have not endorsed them. And I would get my shit removed off the website and play dumb. Or they're not even trying to play dumb and be like, what are you talking about? They're just, like, ignoring people. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to still publicly endorse this guy. That's what fries me.
Right.
Like, what are they getting out of this? What benefit do they have, or what fear is in them that they can't do that? Because there's no logical reason why someone would not try to get away from that. That doesn't make no sense to me.
No.
Same with Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear has a great reputation. I've scoured the internet for any allegations against this guy. There aren't any. He's got a great reputation, even in Hollywood. But I have seen the correspondence between him and these girls, and, like, he plays dumb. He pretends it's the first time he's ever heard it. And then he says, well, I don't agree with that. I'm going to make sure that I'm not affiliated with this. And then the next day, he keeps doing the same thing. He keeps going on these Zoom calls. He keeps promising these things to these little girls. I'm not saying he's doing it. What I am saying is he's aware, and then he plays dumb, and he keeps doing it. So, like, I don't think they're paying him.
And
Maybe.
it's not like he's bringing them much, because they're like the bfly.co TikTok interview with him has like 61 views, and it's from 6 months ago or something. So
I mean, I didn't even know who this guy was, honestly. I had no idea who. When they tried to get me, they told me John Legend. Thank you, John Legend. They said that I was going to work with John Legend. And again, at the time, I was sick. I wasn't really trying to get back into acting or anything. And I was like, work with him on what? And they were like, well, you can, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, we want you to, like, dance for one of his music videos. I'm like, again, guys, I just got out of a wheelchair. I am on forearm crutches. You keep asking me to dance for you. I can't walk, bro. It's not happening.
right.
Like, I don't know what we don't understand about. I didn't see, there was a guy on the call who I thought was John Legend at the time, but like when I think back, it was really dark lighting. And now I'm like, maybe it wasn't John Legend. I don't know. I haven't found any indication that like they actually are associated. So that might have been fake.
Well, that's another little avenue I can explore too. But
it was so long ago. And when I talked to Georgette again, I was like, so did you guys really know John Legend? She was like, no. I was like, oh, okay. So that was just made up. And she's like, yes. I was like, okay, bet. Cool. Because she was his assistant. So she would know.
So, yeah, well, there's so much still to like look into, but I'm really like, for me, what I really want to go, because I feel like you've looked into so much of this already, that if there's like the financial stuff that I can find.
I've never looked into the money.
Dude, the fact that the 990s aren't available, which they should be for these organizations, they should be. And then it says like, well, they don't have them filed because it's less than $20,000, but then
you still have to file something if you operate California. You still have to file like it's like a 990M or a 990NC or something.
Yeah, it's the postcard.
Yeah,
because I do it for my from the foundation that I work for. Like,
right.
I just did all of that, and I know how, because like our foundation closed down during COVID, like a lot of them, and we just like revived it this year, and so we had to go back and like file back, for the last 3 years, just zeroed out, but 990s, so they're still on record, even if you're not making. We had zeros and we still had to file them. So
depends on the state, right? But they are operating pretty much exclusively out of California. And just because you are registered in one state, I know this because my LLC is registered in New York. Me doing business in California, film work, yeah, I'm going to have to do something in California because like California is really strict with this kind of crap.
Yeah, they want their money.
They do. And I don't know. Obviously, they have enough money coming from somewhere to be able to put on these big events where nothing happens, these big galas that no one attends except for them. But they're still expensive.
I mean, they're flying to the Vatican to get their, pictures with the Pope and to all these other, like you said, just placing themselves into the like photo bombing almost, it feels like.
So that's it. I found a video from the Vatican where they were like, we were about to get like a photo with the Pope. And the Pope, there's a line. It's literally a line like you're waiting to get a picture with fucking Santa.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, cool. This is all fake.
Well,
I'll show you my data map. It's really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Send it to me. Send me,
Also, I don't know how to archive things, so please feel free with the source links. If you know how to archive them, please do. I don't know how to do that. I tried. I'm confused. I'm like a boomer. I don't know how to do this. Tech stuff.
I've been archiving everything in archive.org when I come across, websites and stuff. So if they go back and scrub them or change them after, I've sent these emails to them for requests, I have documented, what it was when I sent it. So,
also
all of these that I come across, so all of these different arms of this network.
Speaking of finances, that racial justice activist coalition that is run through San Quentin Prison by Anand, there's stuff in there about like money coming through it and how they allow that.
Okay.
I could send you the document.
Yeah, send me what you have. Hopefully my camera's glitching right now, but yeah, send me what you have and I'll see what, fits together and what I can figure out.
Yeah, it sounds good. And yeah, I'm happy to hop on calls whenever.
Awesome. Yeah, likewise. Awesome. All right. Well, take care. I will talk to you soon. And let's keep exposing these guys.
Hell yeah. Sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.